I found it difficult over the past few weeks to really put into words due to a feeling of being overwhelmed by the near daily, sometimes hourly, abuses of power by the racist Trump regime and its enablers. Waking up every morning not wanting to look at my phone for fear of the horrors, the stories, the horrific imagery of ICE arrests on American streets, crying children, screaming families, distressed neighbours. We continue to witness an effort to ethnically cleanse the country of anyone who doesn't fit Trump's preferred demographic. What strikes me most is that the corporate media still fails to use terms like authoritarianism or fascism to describe this administration's behaviour. They avoid drawing direct comparisons to murderous dictators of history, despite the clear trajectory being replicated by this far-right Christo-fascist nationalist movement. Sane-washing the words of Donald Trump, sane-washing his movement that seeks to isolate America from the rest of the world and realign it with former adversaries. It's no coincidence that Trump sees former allies as enemies. After all, allies are often smarter than he is, and anyone smarter than him is a threat.
6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation. You set a number. And if you go down, if I set a number at a ridiculous high number and I go down a little bit, they want me to hold that number, 145% tariff, but don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead.
Mr. President,
to me, that's the nastiest question.
Mr. President,
Wait a minute, wait.
And while Trump believes that America has regained its standing on the world stage, the reality is far different. The world is not laughing at America. They are mourning America. People feel empathy for a nation that has fallen so quickly into the grip of fascists, tech oligarchs, billionaires, and the white supremacist super-rich. It's a demise that was well documented before it happened. It's a demise that is straight out of the Project 2025 playbook. It should come as no shock to anyone, including those Republicans who claim, I didn't vote for this. They did vote for this. This is exactly what they voted for. And as for the Democrats, it seems that they remain in a state of paralysis. There's no strong opposition to Trump's actions. Trump controls the House, the Senate, the executive. Congressional Republicans show extreme cowardice, and the Supreme Court exhibits complicity. My greatest fear is that January 6 set a precedent, one that could prevent any legitimate uprising of the people in the same way that Trump's false claims of election fraud in 2020 muted any criticism of his clean sweep win in 2024. It's become even more taboo to entertain the idea of reclaiming the country by force, an idea now tainted after Trump incited a riot at the US Capitol. Options now are limited. Trump has effectively sabotaged the very concept of protest, voiding any legitimate demonstration by poisoning the public perception of dissent. He wants disruption. He wants to send in the National Guard. He enjoys use of federal agents in masks. And he also has control of the Electoral College system in such a way that Democrats may never win another presidential election ever again. Voter suppression bills are real, and they work. And that's before we consider the terrifying possibility that Donald Trump will never leave the White House. I mean, can anyone seriously imagine him conceding an election, calling a newly elected Democrat to congratulate them, removing his gaudy gold decor from the Oval Office to make way for someone new? Trump is not going anywhere. The very system that has elected presidents since 1787 has ceased to function. Not a single Republican, perhaps with the exception of Rand Paul, dares to oppose Trump or question his policies. Even his so-called big, beautiful bill is riddled with illegal actions that circumvent oversight. So all that remains for Democrats and American citizens is that co-equal branch of government, the legal system, the judiciary, and sympathetic judges who are not afraid for their lives or reputations. I mean, the fate of Judge Hannah Dugan serves as a warning shot to the judiciary. Stay out of Trump's way or else. And finally, we must not ignore Trump's cognitive decline, his inability to grasp simple questions or tasks, and his narcissistic personality disorder, which renders him incapable of taking responsibility for anything. Trump was the Trojan horse that opened the gates of the White House to the far-right and tech billionaire class. A useful idiot, which figures like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and others are cashing in on through military contracts and dystopian surveillance deals. Ironically, Trump has created his own, more sinister version of the deep state, and Americans now are very afraid. Gone are the days when US citizenship offered protection or symbolized something greater. Trump treats every critic as an enemy and won't stop until all opposition is silenced. Right now, it's undocumented immigrants and so-called criminals, but soon it'll be all minorities, dissenters and critics, whether in positions of leadership or just on social media. And the effect of the tariffs hasn't really kicked in yet, but I predict a sharp rise in prices and a shortage of produce. It might feel a bit like lockdown, but with a very different sort of virus. The effects of Trump's policies haven't yet had a tangible effect. Pregnant women and children can't get a COVID vaccine anymore. The Department of Health, FEMA, all of these organizations that we might one day rely on are no more. Now, while the picture that I'm painting might seem grim, it is a reality that must be recognized before it can be defeated. The solution, and there is one, lies in numbers. There are more of us than there are of them. The current protest movements are really promising. A day of protest on June 14 will accompany Donald Trump's military parade in Washington, D.C., that he claims is intended to celebrate the U.S. Army's 250th birthday. But we all know is all about him, the first American dictator. It's time for new leadership in the pro-democracy space. True disruptors who do not necessarily identify as Democrats. We need a person, a people, a movement that is unapologetically anti-Trump, anti-fascist, anti-authoritarian, but is pro-inclusivity, pro-integration, pro-legal immigration, one that seeks to align America with our European allies and build a truly modern, equal, and just society for all. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on the Weekend Show with Midas Touch.